How good was Wayne Gretzky actually? Well, he has more assists than anyone else has total points. He holds 61 NHL records, many of which will probably never be broken. And if he had never scored a single goal, he'd still be the NHL's all-time points leader.
At 45 goals in 38 games, I remember thinking, I better not mess this up.
So yeah, let's talk about how absurdly good Wayne Gretzky really was, and why exactly he's dubbed the Great One.
Wayne Gretzky has been traded. The man hockey fans call the Great One is going to the United States.
Promised mess I wouldn't do this.
Wayne Gretzky didn't just break NHL records, he destroyed them. He's the all-time leader in assists, 1,963, points, 2,857. For the longest time, he's also been the top leader in goals with 894 to his name, although he's recently been overtaken by Ovechkin. And here's the wildest stat of all. If you took away every single goal Gretzky ever scored, he would still be number one on the all-time points list. No one else even comes close. The Great One had 4 seasons with over 200 points. No other player in NHL history has even one. He once had a 51-game point streak. That's more than half the season where he recorded a point every single night. He also has the most 100-point seasons in NHL history with 15. The next closest, Mario Lemieux with 10. In the 1981-82 season, Gretzky scored 92 goals. That's still the record. No one's come within 10 of it since. In fact, 8 of the top 11 highest scoring seasons in NHL history all belong to Gretzky. You could freeze time in 1990 and he'd still be ahead of most superstars playing right now. So if you think Connor McDavid or Sidney Crosby are having monster years, the Great One was doing more 40 years ago while wearing equipment that looked like it was made of cardboard and duct tape. Wayne Gretzky wasn't built like a tank. He wasn't the fastest skater. He didn't have a booming slap shot. But none of that mattered, because the Great One didn't play hockey, he solved it. At just 6 years old, he was already playing against 10-year-olds and beating them. By the time he was 13, he'd scored over 1,000 goals in youth hockey. 1,000 goals. Coaches were so frustrated by him that they forced him to play defense just to slow him down. Spoiler, it didn't work. His father, Walter Gretzky, built a rink in their backyard and taught Wayne to see the ice like a chessboard. Every pass, every bounce, every angle. Gretzky wasn't reacting, he was predicting. He knew where the puck was going before it even got there. At 14, he moved away from home to chase tougher competition. By 17, he was in the World Hockey Association playing against grown men. And by 18, he was already in the NHL making veterans look silly. And get this, when scouts first looked at him, they thought he was too small, too skinny, not physical enough for the NHL grind. But what he lacked in size, he made up for with pure genius. Wayne didn't need to hit you, he just needed to be 2 steps ahead of you, and most of the time, he was 5. Wayne Gretzky's prime wasn't just dominant, it was a hockey apocalypse. From 1980 to 1987, the Great One won the scoring title every single year. That's 7 straight Art Ross trophies. He also picked up 8 straight MVPs during that stretch. No one, not Lemieux, not Crosby, not McDavid, has even come close to that level of consistent greatness. And in 1981-82, he broke the NHL with 92 goals and 120 assists, a mind-blowing 212 points in a single season. That record still stands today, and probably always will. This wasn't happening in some low-effort soft era either. This was the 80s, an era full of clutching, grabbing, fights, and brutal checks. Guys were coming for Gretzky's head every night, and he still made them look like traffic cones. Then came the dynasty. With Gretzky as their captain, the Edmonton Oilers became one of the greatest teams in sports history. From 1984 to 1988, they won 4 Stanley Cups in 5 years. The Great One wasn't just winning, he was rewriting the game in real time. In the 1985 playoffs, he put up 47 points in 18 games. That's nearly 3 points per game. In the postseason, he was the engine behind everything. His passing, his vision, his control. He made the rink look smaller because he was everywhere at once. If the NHL was a video game, Gretzky wasn't playing it. He was the cheat code. So what made the Great One actually unstoppable? It wasn't brute strength, it wasn't blazing speed, and it definitely wasn't size. He was 6 foot 0 inches, barely 185 pounds. He didn't even tape the top of his stick, and his helmet looked like it belonged to a kid in a beer league. But none of it mattered, because Gretzky's real weapon was his brain. His hockey IQ was on another planet. He didn't just know where the puck was, he knew where it was going. Before anyone else even realized a play was developing, the Great One had already delivered the perfect pass through 3 defenders and was halfway back to the bench. He saw the ice like no one else. Coaches called it a sixth sense. Opponents called it terrifying. And then there was Gretzky's office, that little patch of ice behind the net. Most players didn't even bother using it. The Great One built a legacy back there. He'd sit, wait, and dismantle defenses like a surgeon, feeding tape-to-tape passes through impossibly tight windows. He made assists look as flashy as goals. He made his teammates better, and not just good teammates, everyone. Guys who wouldn't have been fourth liners on other teams were suddenly scoring 30 goals. It's the same reason people compare Gretzky to NFL quarterbacks like Tom Brady. He could read the defense, pick it apart, and make you pay, all without breaking a sweat. He was the playmaker, the thinker, the setup artist, and still ended up with 894 goals. He made the hardest sport in the world look like it was being played in slow motion. Let's be real, no legend is perfect, not even the Great One. He wasn't the fastest skater, he wasn't physically intimidating, and yet he played in an era where scoring was a lot higher than today. Critics love to say that his numbers were inflated because nobody played defense in the 80s. It's true, the average game saw more goals. But here's the thing, everyone was playing in that same era, and no one came close to Gretzky's numbers. While others were scoring 90 points, he was putting up 215. Still, he had help. Gretzky was surrounded by Hall of Famers like Mark Messier, Yari Curry, Paul Coffey, and Grant Fuhr. The Oilers were stacked, and the Great One didn't have to worry about fighting. His enforcers did that for him. Another knock? He wasn't a great defensive forward. He wasn't throwing hits or shutting guys down in his own zone. But he didn't need to, because every time he had the puck, the other team didn't. And when he got traded to the Kings, his production did dip a bit. But even then, he was still leading the league in assists and dragging LA to its first Stanley Cup final appearance ever. So yeah, he had flaws. But when you're this good, the flaws barely register. You want to talk about greatness? Let's talk about records. Wayne Gretzky holds 61 official NHL records, and many of them aren't just safe, they're untouchable. He holds the record for most assists, 1,963, most points, 2,857, most points in a single season, 215, most 100-plus point seasons, 15. No one's even close. Connor McDavid, the most dominant modern player, just hit 153 points. He'd need 4 more seasons like that just to catch the Great One's best year. Here's a stat that breaks people's brains. Gretzky had 11 seasons with over 150 points. Every other player in history combined, just 14. His 51-game point streak is a record that may never fall. You'd have to register a point in over 60% of the season without missing a single night. He's held the record for the fastest 1,000 points. It took him just 424 games. That's basically 5 seasons. Ovechkin beat his goal record, but no one's touching his assists, or his vision, or his total dominance. These aren't just records, they're untouchable landmarks in hockey history. Wayne Gretzky didn't just dominate hockey, he reshaped it. When he got traded to the LA Kings in 1988, it didn't just shock Canada, it changed the NHL forever. Suddenly, hockey mattered in places it had never before. California, Arizona, Florida. The Great One brought the game to the Sun Belt. Before Wayne, hockey was a regional sport. After Wayne, it was everywhere. TV ratings spiked, ticket sales exploded. Kids who'd never seen a frozen pond started learning to skate because of him. And even after retiring in 1999, the Great One stayed involved. He coached, he became a team executive, and now he's one of the game's most respected ambassadors and analysts. He's also ridiculously humble. You'd expect someone with 2,857 points to walk into a room like a rock star, but Gretzky's quiet, thoughtful, all class. He's also a mentor, always cheering on the next generation. You'll hear McDavid or Crosby mentioned talking to Wayne. That's not name-dropping, that's respect. And beyond the NHL, his impact is even bigger. In Canada, he's more than an athlete. He's a cultural icon. Statues, streets, and arenas are named after him. In 2002, he led Team Canada to Olympic gold as executive director, ending a 50-year drought. The Great One didn't just win games, he built legacies. Ask any player, any era, who's the greatest, and most won't hesitate, Gretzky. He wasn't the fastest, he wasn't the strongest, but no one ever saw the game like Wayne Gretzky. Gretzky was the master of everything, scoring, passing, vision. Ovechkin, he's a pure, relentless goal machine. Different styles, different eras, but both absolute legends. And Ovechkin passing Gretzky in goals shows total dominance across every part of the game that still sets him apart. If you love greatness, legends, and stories like this, subscribe, because when it comes to the best who ever do it, we've only just begun.